At my brother's wedding, I was given a folding chair by the kitchen. His fiancée said, "It's just for plus ones." I looked around, everyone else had a seat, even my ex. So I picked up my gift, turned around and said, "Plus one this." He ran after me in front of everyone. Chapter 1. The wedding seat. The ballroom was glittering with chandeliers and white roses. Every table had gold chairs, set perfectly for the family and their closest friends, except for me. When I arrived, I was handed a folding chair, shoved near the kitchen doors where the waiters bustled in and out with trays. My brother's fiancée gave me a sweet but poisonous smile. "It's just for plus ones," she said. "I hope you don't mind." But I did mind. Because I wasn't a plus one, I was his only sibling. And as I looked around the room, I saw every cousin, every distant relative, even my ex, all seated at tables, laughing under the glow of chandeliers. And me, pushed to the shadows like an afterthought. I gripped the wrapped gift in my hands, my heart pounding. Then I stood, raised the chair slightly and said loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, "Plus one this." I turned and walked away. That was the moment everything changed. Chapter 2. The fallout. The ballroom doors swung shut behind me, but not before my words rippled through the crowd like a crack of thunder. Conversations faltered, glasses clinked awkwardly, heads turned toward the kitchen, then toward the empty folding chair. I hadn't planned a scene, but the scene had written itself. I hadn't even reached the valet stand when I heard my name. My brother's voice cut through the chatter, desperate, not commanding. He was jogging toward me, tuxedo half unbuttoned, his fiancée frozen in the doorway behind him. "Wait!" he shouted. "You can't just leave. Not like this." But I didn't slow down. For once I let him feel the sting of being ignored. Inside, the silence cracked. Guests whispered, "Why would she put her only sibling by the kitchen? Did you see how she smirked?" Even the ex got a seat but not the sister. The fiancée's carefully curated image, perfect bride, perfect hostess, fractured under the weight of those murmurs. She tried to laugh it off, to say I was overly sensitive, but no one bought it. Because humiliation, once exposed, is contagious. I reached my car, gift still in hand. My brother finally caught up, panting, eyes wild. "Please," he said, "come back inside. Don't ruin this." I turned, meeting his gaze for the first time. Calm, cold. "I didn't ruin anything," I said. "You let her do it." Then I slid into the car, leaving him standing in the headlights, the groom who had just lost more than a guest. Chapter 3. The whispers that grew. The wedding was supposed to be her perfect day, but perfection shatters fast when the cracks are public. By the time the cake was cut, the story had spread across every table. She put his own sister by the kitchen. Didn't even bother to hide it, a folding chair. That's cruel, not classy. Phones buzzed under the linen. Photos of the empty chair by the swinging kitchen door made their way onto group chats. By dessert, the narrative had shifted. The bride wasn't elegant, she was petty. My brother tried to smile through it, clinking glasses and kissing his new wife for the cameras. But his eyes betrayed him. Every time he looked at that empty chair, every time a guest asked casually, "Hey, where'd your sister go?" the truth burned deeper. It wasn't just that I'd left. It was that everyone noticed why. Behind closed doors, the argument started that very night. "You embarrassed me," she hissed. "No, you embarrassed yourself," he shot back. It was subtle at first, tense whispers, awkward silences. But soon, people close to them began to notice. The fairy tale image of perfect bride and groom didn't last the honeymoon. Meanwhile, I didn't rush to rub salt in the wound. I let their whispers grow, their facade crumble on its own. Instead, I focused on building my own quiet strength, work, independence, peace, the same life they thought I didn't deserve. But I wasn't done. Not yet. Because revenge wasn't just about leaving. It was about returning at the right moment, when their empire of smug superiority was weakest. And when that moment came, I would deliver the line that turned their humiliation into legend. Chapter 4. The Return. A year slipped by like sand through an hourglass, but the memory of that folding chair never left them. While their new marriage cracked under the weight of whispers and unmet expectations, I built a new rhythm, a better apartment, paid for by my own hard work, a circle of friends who valued me not because of who my brother was, but because of who I was. A calm confidence that replaced the silence they once mistook for weakness. I didn't just survive. I flourished. Meanwhile, stories trickled back to me through cousins and mutual acquaintances. The perfect couple image had soured. My brother's wife couldn't stand being reminded of that wedding humiliation. My brother grew resentful, tired of defending her choices. Their fights weren't private anymore. Neighbors heard shouting, coworkers noticed the tension, and the shine of their union dulled fast. It wasn't a surprise. A marriage built on cruelty and arrogance rarely survives the weight of truth. The opportunity came at a family fundraiser, the kind of event my in-laws and their circle once dominated, where appearances mattered more than sincerity. I walked in quietly, no grand announcement, no attention-seeking. But the moment I entered the room, heads turned. My presence alone, calm, polished, untouchable, was enough to stir a storm. I didn't confront them directly. I didn't need to. A few polite words to relatives, a generous donation in my name, and suddenly, the whispers that once mocked me had transformed into admiration. The folding chair at the wedding. Forgotten. The line I left them with. +1 this. It had become legend, retold in quiet chuckles whenever their names came up. And when my brother and his wife finally noticed me, the color drained from their faces. Because they realized the truth. I wasn't the forgotten outsider anymore. They were. Chapter 5. The final confrontation had happened on a rainy evening. I had just finished dinner when I heard it, a frantic pounding on my door, not polite, desperate. When I opened it, there stood my brother and his wife. They were nothing like the smug couple from the wedding. Their clothes were wrinkled, their eyes hollow, their posture heavy with defeat. "Please," my brother started, his voice trembling. We need you. Things are falling apart. We don't know what else to do," his wife, once so smug, clutched her hands together. "We're sorry. About the wedding. About everything. Just, please help us." They tried to explain. His business was failing, and no one trusted him anymore. She had been humiliated socially after whispers of the folding chair incident spread. Their friends stopped calling, their finances were wrecked, and even family had started turning their backs. For the first time, the arrogance was gone. They weren't demanding. They weren't mocking. They were begging. I let the silence stretch until the only sound was rain tapping against the windows. Then, slowly, I spoke. "You gave me a folding chair at my own brother's wedding. You laughed while I sat by the kitchen like I didn't belong. You thought I was disposable." I stepped closer, my voice steady. "But here's the truth. I wasn't the one disposable. You were. You built a life on cruelty, and now, it's crumbling." My brother tried to reach for me. "We're family." I pulled back, my eyes cold. Family doesn't humiliate each other for fun. Family doesn't make you sit by the kitchen while strangers get honored. Family doesn't need me only when the walls cave in. I picked up the unopened gift I had once carried to their wedding, the same gift I had taken back that day, and set it on the small table near the door. "Here's what you left me with. A folding chair. That's all I was worth to you." Then I opened the door wide, letting the rain spill in. "Now leave, because this time, I won't even give you a chair to sit on." They stood there in stunned silence before turning away, their footsteps swallowed by the storm. As I shut the door, I felt no guilt, no hesitation, just closure. They had mocked me, diminished me, and tried to erase me. But in the end, it wasn't me who disappeared. It was them, forgotten, humiliated, and left to live with the weight of their own cruelty. Epilogue 1 year later. A year passed, and the wedding humiliation that once burned in my chest had faded into something else. Power. My brother and his wife didn't recover. Their financial troubles turned into foreclosures. The same friends who once clinked champagne glasses at their wedding avoided their calls. The whispers of "folding chair brother" spread further than they imagined, turning them into a quiet cautionary tale of arrogance. Even in family gatherings, they were no longer the shining centerpiece. Relatives spoke of them in hushed tones, shaking their heads as if remembering the day they crossed a line too far. As for me, that folding chair moment became my turning point. I took the energy of that humiliation and used it to build. I grew stronger, steadier, independent. At community events I wasn't sitting by the kitchen anymore. I was at the head table, my name on programs, my contributions recognized.
Friends, colleagues, even distant family, looked at me with respect that my brother and his wife could only dream of. The best part? I didn't need to gloat. Their downfall and my rise spoke louder than any speech ever could. One evening, I saw them again. They sat in the back row of a local fundraiser, quiet and unnoticed. No spotlight, no attention, no laughter. Just shadows in a crowd. I passed them without a word, but as I did, I remembered the folding chair they gave me. And I realized the perfect irony. They once gave me the lowest seat in the house. But today, I was standing tall. While they weren't even invited to sit at the table. Closing line, for maximum punch. They thought a folding chair would humiliate me. Instead, it became their legacy. And me. I never needed their seat. I built my own table. Was this revenge perfectly justified? Or should the storm have raged harder? Drop your verdict below. I read every single one. Hit like if you crave justice, and share this story with someone who needs its fire.